Okay, let's crack on. We've been involved in this, so I should probably say who the London Waste and Recycling Board is. We're a partnership of the Mayor of London and London's 33 boroughs. We're established by the Greater London Authority Act, so we're a public body established by statute, and we have the Deputy Mayor for Environment on our board, as well as leading elected members from London's boroughs. And we have basically two parts to our business, if you like. Local authority support to help London's boroughs increase recycling, which is a real challenge in London, as I'm sure you're all aware, and a focus on circular economy. Our remit, therefore, is quite wide. It's not just about household or municipal waste, it's about all waste, and in fact, increasingly, as I hope you'll see, I sometimes try to do this presentation without even mentioning the word waste, which is actually easier than it sounds. Okay, so LWARB started on this road, this circular path, if you like, when the previous Mayor of London asked the GLA to estimate how much infrastructure was required to deliver London's growth. And estimates vary, I suppose, now, but we're talking about London growing from around about 8 million people to around about 11.5 million people in a relatively short amount of time. It's unprecedented growth, and this document, the London Infrastructure Plan, was really a lobbying document to Treasury to say we need more money to support this growth in infrastructural terms. So we were asked, what does that mean for waste management to 2050? Looking at that kind of time period, we thought, well, let's not just do a traditional predict and provide waste management strategy. We need, X number of incinerators and X number of AD plants or whatever. Let's see what the future trends are. And we came across this term circular economy. So we did a bit of work, and I think erroneously, actually now, decided that circular economy was a euphemism for more reuse. Now, I'll explain why I think that in a minute. So basically, we came up with a plan that said we need lots more reuse and lots less waste infrastructure, so you don't need to spend that much money. And that had the rather disturbing effect of making the Mayor not that interested in waste, because he didn't need to go and lobby Treasury for loads of money, which is quite an interesting political dynamic. So, but we felt that in order to deliver that kind of that reduction in the need for waste infrastructure, and therefore free up land for other uses, we needed to have circular economy kind of cut through all of London's policy documents, like a stick of rock, which is what we're trying to do now. And you'll see, if you look at London's policy documents, the London Environment Strategy, London Economic Development Strategy, transport documents, the London Plan, crucially, circular economy will be in there. It will be in there probably before reference in any other UK or at least England policy documents, and it will, I think, over time become more sophisticated, more nuanced, and a stronger policy document. A policy at the moment, it is quite a blunt tool, because we're educating policymakers at the GLA, and it can be a difficult concept for people to get their heads around. So at LWARB we have all of these drivers for change, and I'll talk you through some of them. We have these three programs: Resource London, which is what we call our local authority support program; Advanced London; and Circular London, which are our circular economy support programs. This graphic hasn't come across very well, but essentially what it's trying to do is demonstrate what a circular economy is. We use this model, which is from Accenture Strategy, and some work that Peter Lacey and others did in their book From Waste to Wealth, I think it was called. But basically they identify 5 business models that sum up the circular economy. Recyclable or renewable material into a manufacturing process, making stuff that is recyclable, the sharing economy, servitization, and design for durability. So those 5 business models, in my view, kind of pretty much sum up what the circular economy is. In other words, it's not just about reuse. So we can be involved in supporting a business that is a sharing app, is effectively a tech startup, by somebody who's developed a sharing app, and that's the circular economy. It's a difficult sell to my board, who would be more interested in dealing with waste management. So we can get involved in lots of different areas around tech and startups and materials innovation and all kinds of interesting stuff that doesn't necessarily relate to collecting the bins. So it's quite an interesting journey for us in the London Waste and Recycling Board. In the London Infrastructure Plan, we said we need to develop a London route map, circular economy route map. And we did that, if I'm honest, because we didn't really know what the circular economy was, and we wanted to give ourselves a bit of time to find out. So we joined the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we talked to other people, we discovered Peterborough were interested in all of this, Scotland and people in Denmark. We kind of joined the community and we developed this strategy. And you'll see that these occur across Europe and increasingly across the world, and they have a similar kind of structure. They will identify focus areas and enablers, and then identify actions that need to happen to create or unlock value that the circular economy can create. In our instance, you'll see our focus areas. They're fairly similar to other focus areas in other cities. The built environment, obviously food, textiles, electrics and plastics. And our big number is 7 billion, an annual figure that we think a circular economy can contribute in terms of value to London. I won't go through these in much detail because I haven't got too much time. But if I'm sure this presentation will be available and you can look at this and look at the route map. But I will talk about some of the things that we're doing in terms of the programmes, just to go into some of the specifics. So, Circular London, Claire is here today, who's our Circular Economy Manager. She runs the Circular London programme. We're engaging with partners in London, trying to establish a community of organisations and businesses that operate in the circular economy, which is it's interesting because I suspect we only touch the tip of the iceberg, because a lot of these people do not, and why should they, self-identify as being circular economy businesses. In many ways, they're my favourite businesses because they're just doing their thing. They're just creating economic value. They don't know they're doing it in a circular way, but they are. We'd like to, capture them and help them and develop their businesses. I suspect, again, that a lot of the economic and job predictions that are based upon what the circular economy can deliver are massive underestimates. We've got our own particular massive underestimate number in the public domain. We say the circular economy can create 12,000 net new jobs. There are 5 million people employed in London. So if it really was only 12,000 net new jobs, I don't think I'd be here. I'd be doing something more productive. So I want the circular economy to deliver 5 million new jobs in London, and I suspect we'll do a bit of work to try and figure out how we can do that. So our contribution to developing circular economy businesses in London is through the Advanced London programme. We have two parts to that. We provide business support to SMEs who want to transition from a linear model to a circular model, or who have wanted to expand an existing circular model. We've helped over 100 SMEs to date. We're funded through the ERDF programme, and we're hoping to get some more funding to go for another 3 years. But we have a portfolio of some astonishing and amazing innovative SMEs. One of those actually won one of the Circular Awards the other day at Davos, a company called Winnow, who are based in London, who we invest in and who we support through this programme. There are loads of other businesses like Olio, who do peer-to-peer food sharing, Too Good To Go, who we support, Uhu, who do the little spherical balls of water in seaweed. We support those. Amazing companies who are doing really innovative and interesting things. And this is our kind of business support strategy. We're establishing now, we just closed a call for interest, an accelerator. In this particular instance, it's in the built environment. So we're going to have about 10 startups who will be based at our offices in London. And we'll take them through a programme over about 6 months. We've got lots of partners on board, big corporate partners who help us to deliver this accelerator. And we have a venture capital fund which we're hoping to develop. We're hoping to close it quite quickly, actually, because if we don't, we won't get the money because of the dreaded Brexit. But we've put £7 million, which we're hoping to get match funded by the European Investment Bank, and that should have a £14 million venture capital fund as part of a larger fund developed by the Mayor of London for SMEs. And we also invest in circularity capital as part of our growth capital programme. So we support businesses from start-up to maturity, both with financial investment and through our business support programme, through the Advanced London Business Support Programme. And here are some of the companies that I've mentioned some of those who we support. Last two kind of slides. One thing I think is important that has been completely missing from the discussion around climate is the contribution that cities make in terms of their consumption, so-called Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions. You might have seen this. If you haven't seen this report that C40 Cities and others have produced, I would heartily recommend it, because it does give you some idea of the size of the problem. If you measure the goods from extraction, use and to disposal over their whole lifetime and allocate those carbon emissions to where they are consumed, then the consumption is almost, I think, equal to the direct Scope 1 and 2 emissions that cities create. So clearly there are some double counting issues that you need to take into account, but if we really want to get to grips with climate change, we have to reduce the consumption of materials. And one of the things we at LWARB are interested in is coming up with some kind of benchmark to identify what a circular economy is. I know it's a vexed issue in the circular economy world, but we're quite interested in looking at a ratio between material consumption and use. So we'd like to see a switch between consumers and a move to users, and that I think is one of the characteristics of a circular economy. As we move from consumption to use, we would hope that those emissions would reduce. I think there's something like 10 kilos, it's not 10 tons, 10 something per capita. I'm not sure the number, it'll be in the report. If we can get that number down, that might be a useful benchmark for cities to kind of aim for. 10 tons, yeah, great. Oh, good. Yeah, 10 tons per person is the average, the city average. I suspect it might be a little bit higher in the global north, obviously, and for a city like London, a bit higher too. And finally, just a bit of shameless self-promotion. We've just moved to our new office near Old Street, and we really wanted to kind of walk the walk. So we tried to deck it out as much as we could in a circular fashion. We've used circular flooring. We've reclaimed flooring. We've used reusable or reused furniture, reused paint, open source design desks where we could. We wanted to demonstrate different aspects of circularity. There is a report out there, and we'll do a more detailed report for anybody who's interested. It's quite challenging, actually, because the businesses don't exist to enable us to do that. We couldn't rent cheaply desks. We ended up relying on the second-hand market. My iPhone is second-hand, but it was a real pain to get second-hand tech. We ended up going to Music Magpie and places like that, high failure rate. It's just not possible if you're a big company to do this. So there are some learnings, How do you get hold of second-hand IT, or do you buy new IT? So, we'll start to look at this stuff in a report, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But if anybody wants to come and have a look at our new office, you'd be more than welcome. Thank you very much.